At 79, Sir Barry Gibb has finally spoken openly about Roy Orbison, one of the artists who shaped him, inspired him, and quietly haunted his imagination. Barry Gibb, born Barry Allen Crompton, Gibb on September 1st, 1946, in Douglas, Isle of Man, is a living legend of pop music. As the creative heart of the Bee Gees, he wrote and performed songs that defined generations. Yet he has always remained a humble man at his core. Now, in a rare and deeply personal moment, Barry reflects on the emotional force of Roy Orbison's voice, the man behind the dark sunglasses, and the haunting truth of his influence. It is not simply admiration. It is a confession of how deeply Orbison shaped Barry's understanding of what music could be. Truth, sorrow, longing, and beauty all rolled into one. Humble beginnings, the boy who heard music before words. Barry Gibb grew up as the second of 5 children in a modest family, the son of Hugh and Barbara Gibb. Even as a child, his gift for melody and storytelling stood out. Music was not a hobby, it was a language he was born speaking. The Gibb family moved to Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia in the late 1950s, and there the young brothers began performing in local venues. Their harmonies were tight, their passion fierce, and Barry quickly became the creative anchor. He was not just the lead singer, he was the principal songwriter, the man who shaped their sound. His early falsetto was only a hint of the voice that would later dominate disco, yet his emotional intensity was already unmistakable. Those early years in Australia were the foundation of a legacy that would eventually reshape modern music. Return to England, the Bee Gees' first great rise. In the 1960s, the Gibb family returned to England to chase bigger dreams. It was in London that the Bee Gees first exploded onto the world stage. Songs like New York Mining Disaster 1941, To Love Somebody, and Massachusetts proved the group could blend storytelling with emotional depth. Barry's songwriting was the heart of it all, an ability to capture loneliness, love, and longing with a melody that lingered long after the song ended. These early hits established the Bee Gees as one of the most powerful vocal groups of the era. Barry's voice, though not yet the falsetto the world would later know, already carried a unique emotional weight. He wrote songs that didn't just entertain, they spoke to people, and that was the beginning of something far bigger than anyone could have imagined. Disco transformation. Barry's falsetto becomes the sound of a generation. The 1970s brought a reinvention that would define Barry's career. As disco rose to dominate the global music scene, Barry's falsetto became the voice of a generation. Hits like Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love became more than songs. They became an era. The Saturday Night Fever soundtrack turned the Bee Gees into cultural icons, selling tens of millions of copies and winning Grammy Awards. Barry's voice and songwriting became synonymous with the energy of the time, the heartbeat of dance floors worldwide. But beyond the glitter and fame, Barry's music carried emotion. Even in the most upbeat disco beats, there was a deep sense of longing, an emotional honesty that resonated with millions. Barry wasn't just writing dance hits. He was writing the soundtrack of people's lives, the end of an era, the final Bee Gees album and new beginnings. In 2001, the Bee Gees released their final studio album, This Is Where I Came In, closing a monumental chapter in music history. Yet for Barry, the end of the group did not mean the end of his creative life. In 2002, he entered the studio with Michael Jackson, his friend and fellow musical titan, and together they recorded All in Your Name. The song became a testament to friendship, unity, and the shared belief that music can heal and unite. Barry continued to evolve, focusing on personal projects and supporting his family's musical legacy. He contributed vocals to his son Steve's single Living in the Rain and released heartfelt songs like Drown on the River, Gray Ghost, and Daddy's Little Girl. These tracks revealed a softer, more reflective side of Barry, one shaped by experience, loss, and love. The family man, Barry's personal life, and enduring love. Barry's personal life was marked by both early turbulence and lasting stability. He married Maureen Bates in 1966, but the pressures of fame and youth made the relationship short-lived, ending after less than 4 years. In 1970, on his 24th birthday, Barry married Linda Gray, a former Miss Edinburgh. Their relationship became one of the rare, enduring partnerships in show business. Together they raised 5 children: Stephen, Ashley, Travis, Michael, and Alexandra. Barry often spoke of his family as his anchor, the source of stability that allowed him to continue creating through life's highs and lows. While his career skyrocketed, his marriage remained steady. Barry's love for Linda and his children became the quiet center of his life, grounding him even as he stood on stages, watched by millions. Loss and survival, the deaths of Morris and Robin. Despite his public success, Barry endured unimaginable personal loss. In 2003, his brother Maurice passed away, and in 2012, Robin followed. Barry was left as the last surviving Bee Gee, carrying not just the family's legacy, but the weight of grief. Yet even through pain, he continued to create, honor, and remember. His perseverance became a testament to resilience, showing that even a legend can suffer and survive. Barry's music after these losses became more reflective, more tender, and more honest. He continued to perform, record, and inspire, but his work now carried a deeper sense of meaning. In every note, there was a reminder that life is fragile, and love is the most powerful force we have. Roy Orbison, the voice that changed everything. For decades, Barry Gibb has carried the influence of artists who shaped his understanding of music, but none affected him like Roy Orbison. Barry has now admitted what many fans suspected. Roy's voice was not just powerful, it was supernatural. Barry described Orbison as having one of the most extraordinary voices he had ever heard, saying it felt like he was pulling something out of the heavens. Songs like Crying, Only the Lonely, and Oh, Pretty Woman were not just hits. They were emotional experiences that showed Barry and countless others how deeply music could reach into the soul. Barry admitted that Roy's ability to sing about loneliness and loss made listeners feel like they were hearing their own story. For Barry, Roy's music was a revelation, a reminder that true artistry is rooted in honesty and emotional truth. The quiet giant, Roy Orbison, offstage and onstage. Barry also shared how Roy Orbison was not the loud, larger-than-life persona many expected offstage. Instead, Roy was quiet, gentle, and shy, almost ordinary. Yet when he stepped onto the stage, something changed. Barry described the transformation as watching a giant awaken. Roy didn't need ego or bravado. He let his voice do the talking. Barry admired this deeply. In an industry filled with self-importance, Roy remained humble, and that humility made him even more powerful. Barry's encounters with Roy left lasting impressions, not just because of his talent, but because of his character. Roy's life was marked by ups and downs, tragedy and revival. He remained authentic. Watching Roy's comeback in the late 1980s with the Traveling Wilburys proved to Barry that true artistry is timeless. Outro, a truth that bridges two legends. Barry Gibb's tribute to Roy Orbison is more than admiration. It is a confession of influence, respect, and love. At 79, Barry reflects on Roy's legacy with clarity and reverence, recognizing the emotional truth that Roy brought to music. He says that every time he enters a studio, he asks himself whether Roy would approve, because Roy never faked anything. Roy was not just a singer, he was a spirit, a feeling, a force beyond the ordinary. Barry's words now bridge two great legacies: The Man in the Dark Sunglasses and The Last Surviving Bee Gee. Both shape music through honesty, melody, and emotion. And though Barry has lived a life filled with fame and loss, his admiration for Roy Orbison remains one of the most sincere